Hi everyone, my name is Julia and I'm a physical therapist at Breakthrough. I'm here today with an upper body and core superset workout for strength. It's geared towards swimmers, but it's really good for anyone who wants to get a good upper body and core workout. So this workout is going to include your warm-up. We're going to have a superset portion, which is going to go 2 rounds of upper body strength and then 1 round of core strength. Then we'll have a burnout round at the end, and then we'll finish off with a cool down stretch. So grab your weights, get some music turned on, and then let's get this workout started. We're just going to start off with a warm-up here. The first exercise is going to be arm circles. So you really want to get the blood flowing. The goal of the warm-up is to warm up your muscles and get your body ready to go for the workout you're about to do. So I like to move my feet too, especially if you're pretty cold, if you've been sitting for a while. You want to really start moving around here. Blood flowing, raise your heart rate, get through that full range of motion in your shoulders. Next one's going to be a standing open book. So you're going to stand, open up one way, come back, open up the other way. You can let your hips move a little bit, but you're mostly trying to get the motion through your upper back, getting a quick stretch in the chest, and then coming back forward. Slide your shoulder blade back as you open up your arms here. Next one's going to be a standing elbow to knee. So it's kind of like a standing bicycle crunch. Bring your knee up to your elbow. You don't want to crunch down too much. Keep yourself nice and tall here. Warming up those abs. Keep nice steady breathing here. We're moving into a walk down to plank. So walk it down into a plank and then bring it back up. So getting those arms again and that core. Strong plank position. The next one's going to be a downward dog to a cobra. So we'll stay down on the ground here. So come into a downward dog, then kind of flow into a cobra. So especially if you're a swimmer, this should kind of replicate translating the force from your upper body to your lower body, like in that dolphin kick. So it's a nice warm-up exercise. Gets a little overhead shoulder stability here. Last one, we're going to come up to standing. We'll do an up and up jack. So out and up. So this is the last warm-up exercise. Just really getting that heart rate up. So as you can, try and move a little faster. Keep breathing. Whew. All right. So if you feel like you need a little more warm-up, go ahead and repeat that again. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our strength portion here. So grab your weight and we'll get started. Okay, so for the strength portion here, we're going to do supersets. So we have 9 groups of 2 exercises each. It's going to be in a superset style. We're going to go 40 seconds on, 10 seconds off, twice through each group of 2 exercises in an A-B-A-B pattern. So the pattern of the groups is going to be 1 group upper body, a 2nd group upper body, and then a 3rd group is going to be core. Okay? So grab your weights, and we're going to start off with this first group, which is going to be chest presses and wide rows. So the first one, you're going to be laying down on the ground. Grab your weights for your chest press and start it up. These are going to be quick transitions here, so if you don't quite make it, don't worry about it. Just try and catch up during the interval. So keeping your forearms perpendicular to the ground. Inhale to lower, exhale to push the weights up. You want to lower them about the same rate as you raise them. And this is a wide chest press here, so your elbows are lowering out to the side. To add a core challenge, you can pick one or both legs off the ground. Quick break here. Go ahead and switch your weight for that wide row. So we're going to be essentially reversing that motion in a wide row here. So hinge at the hips, elbows come out to the side, forearms stay pretty much perpendicular to the ground. Make sure you have a nice straight back. Exhale to raise, inhale to lower. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Don't let them hang out. They're not friends. Nice steady breathing. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. All right, switch back to those chest presses on the ground. So I'm going to do the version with my legs up this time for a bit more of a core challenge. Start it up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, press up. So this is the pushing side of your body. The rows are the pulling side of your body. So we want to make sure that our muscles are balanced, that we're working on both sides of our body. That's why I like supersets so much, because you go back and forth between opposing muscle groups so everything gets nice and balanced. Steady breathing. All right, go ahead and switch back to those wide rows. So, hinge at the hips. Make sure you have a neutral arch in your spine. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Elbows wide out to the side, but don't let your shoulders shrug up. Sometimes it helps to shrug up, shrug down, and then move on with the exercise so you know that your shoulder blades are in the right position. The shoulder blade strength is really important for shoulder stability and making sure that you have a strong base for your arm and your hand to move around. Because your arm and hand have a lot of mobility, so you have to have a strong, stable shoulder blade to support it. All right, go ahead and give that a break. We're going to be moving on to our next group of 2 exercises, which is going to be bicep curls and tricep kickbacks. So we'll just restart the timer here. So grab a weight for those bicep curls. I'm going to try with these and start it up. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. So try not to kick your elbows forward. And to increase the challenge, if you're not maxed out on weight here, you can always stand on one foot. Nice steady breathing. Try and keep your elbows totally still. Just raising your palms towards your shoulders without kicking your elbows forward. Makes it a lot harder. Good. Go ahead and give that a break. We're going to switch. I'm going to switch my weights for the tricep kickbacks. So hinge over at the hips, upper arms glued to your sides, and kick them back. So if you're a swimmer like me, this is a really important motion. This is like that finishing portion of your stroke. In the freestyle, or butterfly, or even backstroke if you flip it upside down. So really important to get those triceps. And you can see I'm alternating back and forth between a palms in and a palms up, just because palms up is a little bit more functional for swimming. So you can always adjust these exercises to mimic your sport. All right, back to those bicep curls. Whew, my arms are feeling toasty. Start it up. So keep your elbow by your side. Try not to let it kick forward too much. You can see mine's kicking forward a little bit, but you don't want to be like swinging your weights up here. Okay, exhale as you lift. Inhale as you lower, and you can always stand on one foot for that added balance challenge if you're not maxed out on the weight that you can lift here. This is really going to increase your core kicking on. Ooh, and you can see this weight starting to get to be a challenge for me. Okay, go ahead and switch. Saved by the bell. Back to those tricep kickbacks. Start it up. You can do palms in, palms up. Keep that elbow by your side. Try not to swing your arm. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Breathing is important. Don't forget to do it. Keep it going just a little longer. Ooh, and let it relax. All right, so I'm going to move my weights out of the way here since we're going on to our next core group. This is our first core group of this workout. It's going to be Jackknife Crunches and back bow pulls. So we'll get our timer going here and then we're going to get going. So the Jackknife Crunches, lay on your back on the ground, arms overhead, legs straight, and then crunch it up at the top. There's a few different names for these. They're commonly referred to as Jackknife Crunches. I've also heard them called suitcases because it's like you're closing a suitcase here. But make sure your back stays pretty flat against the ground throughout this entire range of motion. And then at the top here, you get that little extra crunch just to get a little extra core burn. Go ahead and flip it over. We're doing back bow pulls. So you're going to be on your stomach. Okay. Lift up and then pull. Back bow and then pull. This is also a pretty functional movement for swimming. Things like that breaststroke pull. This is also just a really good shoulder blade and back exercise. Think about dragging your shoulder blades, pulling your shoulder blades down and together on your back. Squeeze them down and together, away from your ears. This is really good for that shoulder blade stability. Great for your postural muscles. All right, flip it back over. We're going back to that jackknife crunch. A lot of sports require some pretty intense core strength, especially swimming. If you imagine you're doing any flip turns, any type of turn really, or as I mentioned before, that dolphin kick really requires that upper body to lower body connection through your core. Pretty much any sport is going to require an upper to lower body connection through your core. So, really important to train your core. They don't call it your core for nothing. It's the core of your body, the core of everything. Okay, flip it back over. We're going back to those back bow pulls. Your back is also part of your core, so it's important to train this side too. So up and then pull down. Lift up and then slide those shoulder blades together on your back. If you need to rest your feet on the ground or bring your hands all the way back to the ground, you can. But if you can, try and hover everything above the ground for the duration of this interval. Good. All right, and with that, we finished our first group of 3 exercises. So grab a quick drink of water here and then you're going to come right back, and we're going to go into our next 3 groups here. Okay, so for our next group of 2 exercises, we're going to start off with an overhead press and a lat pullover. So get going here. So grab your weights for that overhead press. Stand up nice and tall and start it up. So you're really trying to press the weights overhead, keeping your forearms vertical, just like the chest press, except it's an overhead version. Exhale up, inhale down, and again, you can always add a little extra challenge by standing on one foot. Try not to shrug up your ears here, or shrug up your shoulders. Keep them away from your ears, especially at the top. You can reset and drop your shoulders away from your ears. Good. Next one's going to be lat pullovers. This is an important one to use a lighter weight if you're not used to this exercise. Flat on your back glued to the ground. Lower the weights overhead under control. Don't let your shoulder pop forward. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. So if you're a swimmer, if you're a thrower, if you're a hitter, you use your lats a lot. This overhead, any type of overhead pulling motion is really going to use those lats. And so it's really important that we train them. If you have a pull-up bar, pull-ups are great. Sadly, I do not. So I resort to lat pullovers. All right, take a break from those. Going back to the overhead press. Like I said, if you're falling behind these intervals, don't worry about it. They're pretty quick transitions. Get a little bit of a cardio workout in too with your strength. I like it that way. Efficiency. Again, you can do that single leg balance. Exhale to lift. Inhale, lower. Don't let your back arch. Keep your core activated here. Whew, can definitely feel that one. All right, going back down to the ground for those lat pullovers. Again, to make it harder on the core, you can lift your legs off the ground. Inhale to lower overhead. Exhale to lift. So only go as far as you can control here, and definitely use a light enough weight that you can control it and you don't put your shoulder at risk of injury. Go lighter than you think you need, especially if this is your first time or if you're just starting out doing this exercise. Breathe steadily. All right, we're going to move on to our next group of 2 exercises here. It's going to be a ventral raise and a dorsal raise. So we'll start up the timer. Both of these I'm going to use a lot less weight because straight arm motions in full range, really hard. So starting with that ventral raise. And then because I swim, my sport is overhead, I'm going to go all the way overhead, and I don't have any shoulder problems, and so I'm not restricted in my range of motion there. If you can only go to shoulder height, that's fine. But if you can, try and get through your available range. And as always, you can do the one leg. And if you're going all the way overhead, I really recommend going palms in. That's going to open up your shoulder space a little bit more compared to a palms down position. All right, then we're gonna do a bent over dorsal raise. So hinge at the hips, and then raise up. So arms go from straight down, and then try and raise them up, level with your trunk, or maybe even a little bit behind it. And again, here you can go palms in, or you can switch a little bit to palms up to make it more applicable to a throwing or a swimming motion. You can alternate back and forth between the two like I'm doing here. Whatever seems to mimic your sport movement the most, that's what you want to train to get stronger. All right. Whew, got sweat in my eyes. Going back to those ventral raises. Start it up. So palms facing each other. And keep your core on as you lift overhead. A little sway is fine, but you don't want to be arching your back to get the weights overhead. And again, you can always do that single leg balance. This one's going to be even more challenging because the weights are going through a larger range of motion here. Now this one, exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Good. Okay, going back to that dorsal raise. So hinge at the hips. Keep that neutral arch in your spine. And start it up. Think about tilting your shoulder blades forward, keeping your shoulders away from your ears. And using your scapular muscles, your back muscles, to really lift those weights up. Kind of squeezing your shoulder blades together instead of just relying on your arm muscles. Use those lats here a little bit. Posterior deltoid, rhomboids. You're really getting them all. Whew, all right. All right, our next group here is going to be rotating side plank hip raises and a Russian twist. So we're really going to target those obliques with these two exercises here. So get the timer going. So starting off with that rotating side plank hip raise. We do elbows or hands. So rotate onto one side, dip the hip down, lift it up. Rotate it onto the other side. Dip it down, lift it up. You can also do this on your hand for a little bit more of a challenge. So really getting into this rotational core stability, into those obliques. Again, working on that upper to lower body core connection. Very nice. All right, the next one's going to be a Russian twist. So really important that you're not twisting like this. You want to have your back straight. Rotate side to side. You can hold a light weight in your hands if you want. And to make it harder, you can speed it up. And you can also lift your feet off the ground. But make sure your back stays straight and you're not slumping over as you do this. So really getting that rotational stability here. Really important for anyone who throws or pulls with one hand at a time. There's always going to be a little bit of a rotation component to that. All right, going back to those side plank hip dips. Get your position, start it up, side plank, get your balance, dip, switch back. Make sure you're breathing steadily throughout this. You can always do this from your knees if it's too hard, or onto your elbows, or like I just did, stagger one foot in front For a little bit of extra balance help, if you find yourself swaying like a palm tree here. All right, back to that Russian twist. So set it up. I'm going to use a lightweight this time. Straight back and start it up. So especially if you're using weight, it's even more important that you keep your back with that neutral arch. Don't let yourself crunch forward into a slumped position. Lifting your feet off the ground is also really going to target your hip flexors, which are another part of your core. So this is a great core exercise here, getting that rotational stability as well as your hip flexors. Whew, all right. So again, we've completed our next block of 3 groups here. So take a quick water break. Don't sit down completely, don't stop moving, and then come right back for our last block of 3. Okay, so our next 2 exercises are going to be lateral raises. Again, overhead or to shoulder height, that's your option. And we're going to also do some overhead tricep extensions. So get the timer going. So again, I'm going to use a pretty light weight for those lateral raises. And we're going to be aiming to go all the way overhead here. So I go thumbs up, raise all the way overhead, and then lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower, and as always, you can add your single leg balance option. So I think this is very relevant to like a swimming butterfly. And so I'm going all the way overhead here. But you can keep it just at shoulder height. This is going to be a much harder exercise than the overhead raise because you have a straight arm. So you're going to have to drop your weight quite a bit here. Go ahead and take a break from that. And then we're going to do overhead tricep extensions. So I'm going to switch my weights here. Arms straight overhead. Elbows bend. Your upper arm should stay vertical. And then going back overhead. So you want to keep the weights going the same direction as your palms. So keep your wrists in neutral. Don't let your wrists kind of collapse with the weight. And you can always do that single leg balance option. The tendency is going to be for those elbows to drift forward, so try and keep your upper arms straight up and down. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift overhead. All right, give that a break. We're going back to the overhead lateral raises here. Set your shoulders down, lift up. Here you really want to keep your shoulders away from your ears. So shrug up, shrug down, scoop them down and keep them down. You don't want to let your shoulders shrug up as you raise your arms. And I'm doing the single leg balance option. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. You can always just go to shoulder height here. That's better for you. And if you're only going to shoulder height, you can go ahead and do it palms down. I just like doing thumbs up when I'm going overhead just to protect that shoulder. All right, switching back to those overhead tricep extensions. Set up your weights. Start it up. And so hopefully you can see, especially if you're a thrower or a hitter overhead, this is a really important motion. Your triceps have to be able to produce power in this overhead range here. I'm going to shift into my single leg stance. The more balance work, the better. Standing on one foot makes your core activate a little bit more. And it's always good to get a little bit of extra balance practice in. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. All right, that round is done. We're going to our next round here, which is going to be chest flies and reverse flies. So again, using a little bit lighter weight than the wide row and the traditional chest press. Starting off with those chest flies. Get this stuff out of the way here. Yep, you see I'm falling behind. All right, here we go. So, flat on your back. Lower the weights as close to the ground as you can while still keeping it under control. Don't let your hands rest on the ground. Maybe your elbows just kind of barely touch or hover. Inhale to lower. Exhale to raise. To increase the core challenge, you can pick your feet up off the ground. You can just pick up one foot, or you can pick up both feet, or you can alternate back and forth. All right, we're doing one more because I missed the beginning of this interval. And then we're going to stand up and flip around for a reverse fly. So here we go. Hinge at the hips. And you're going to raise your hands to about shoulder height, keeping your arms mostly straight. That's maybe a little bit too much for me. So you can always adjust your weight mid-set, like I just did. I'm using a combination of little weights here, so I can switch them pretty easily. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Nice and steady both directions. Again, really firing up those scapular muscles here. Now we're going to go back to that chest press, or the chest fly. Start it up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. You can always leave your feet flat on the ground. I just like to do this for a little extra core challenge. If you're using a bench at home, definitely leave your feet on the ground. You don't want to be falling off the bench. That's no good. Nice steady breathing here. Make sure you use a weight that you can control. Again, your shoulder is in kind of a vulnerable position here, so don't use more weight than you can handle. Use less weight than you think you need, especially to start. All right, going back to those reverse flies. Hinge at the hips. Start it up. So really use those scapular muscles. This is going to target those rhomboids, middle traps. You can do palms down, or you can do thumbs up to just hit a slightly different angle. You should really feel your shoulder blade muscles and your back muscles working here. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. All right, nice job. So now we're going to go to our last core round here, which is going to be a double arm and leg dead bug and swimmers. So the double arm and leg dead bug, you're going to have both arms and both legs extend at the same time, but making sure to keep your back pretty much flat against the ground. Inhale out, exhale in. To increase the challenge here, you can hold a light weight in your hands, or one weight in either hand. I like this as a swimming core exercise because it really kind of replicates that upper to lower body core connection. All right, and then we're going to flip it over for swimmers. So opposite arm, opposite leg are going to lift. Start it up. So you can start it out a little slower. Get the hang of the motion. And then as you're able, speed it up. And try and hover your hands and your feet, your legs, the entire interval. If you have to, you can rest them on the ground in between repetitions, but really try and hover and really get that speed going. Get that alternating contraction. Good. Flip it back over. Double arm, double leg, dead bug. I'm going to use a light weight in each hand this time. So if you're a thrower or a hitter, think about really bringing your core into this. You have to tighten your core as you snap your arm overhead. It's really going to increase the power of your strike. Keep it going. Nice steady breathing. All right, flip it back over for those swimmers. And start it up. So if you have to, you can rest your hands and feet on the floor, alternating. But if you can, speed it up and hover them off the ground. Nice steady breathing here. Don't hold your breath. Keep your neck in neutral, head and neck in neutral. Really good. This is really good for your shoulder blade muscles and your postural muscles. Getting out of that forward slumped position. Get your glutes, hamstrings, the whole back body here. All right, excellent. That is the last group of those superset groups, and now all we have left is the burnout round. Ah, yes, we just have a little bit more. Just a little bit more. You can do it. Okay, so this burnout round is just going to have 5 exercises. We're going 40 seconds on, 10 seconds off, twice through the entire round. So we're going push-ups, prone W's, arm bars left and right, and then a bent over row, external rotation, Y combo. Okay, so let's get it burning. Starting with the push-ups. So do the hardest version of push-ups that you can do for as long as you can do them. Start it up. So I'm starting on my hands and feet. If you have to go onto your knees, that's fine. Or do them inclined off a counter or even off a wall. It's all fine. Just do the best you can do for as long as you can do it. Inhale down. Exhale to push back up. Core nice and tight. 40 seconds is feeling like a long time. All right, on the ground we're going to do some prone W's. So you can rest your forehead on a towel if you want to for comfort. But just lift your hands up, pull them down in a W position. To add a little bit extra, you can lift your chest off the ground. This is really targeting your shoulder blade muscles. Pull your shoulder blades down and away from your ears. Slide them down and together on your back. Next one's going to be an arm bar. So you're going to grab one weight for this one. Lay on your back. Left arm up, left knee up. So you're going to push to the side, and then left leg is going to come over. Then reverse the motion. So keep that weight directly over your shoulder, This is really important for getting that shoulder stability kind of throughout its range of motion, front to back here. Starts right over your shoulder, over the side of your shoulder, and then kind of over the back of your shoulder. So using that core to make that rotation here. Good. Go ahead and switch hands. So right arm up and then right knee up. So push over into that rotation and then control it. So the goal is to kind of rotate your chest as much as possible while still keeping that weight directly above your shoulder without it sagging to either side. Nice steady breathing here. Whatever you do, don't hold your breath. Anytime you're working out, you really want to make sure you're breathing, getting oxygen into your lungs and to your muscles. All right. The last exercise here is going to be a row external rotation Y combo. I'm going to use a super light weight. So wide row, externally rotate, overhead in a Y, reverse, reverse, reverse. So shoulders away from ears, row, external rotation, Y, reverse it, and reverse it. So nice steady breathing. Move through this motion. It's a big combo motion. Gets your scapular muscles, your rotator cuff, really the whole shebang in the back and your shoulder blades here. These are all awesome motions for your shoulder blade stability. All right, then we're restarting the round. So going back to push-ups. Here we go. Start it up. Inhale down, exhale up. Keep your body nice and straight. You can choose to do a wide push-up or more of a tricep push-up. Tricep push-up, bring your hands in closer to your body, or you can choose somewhere in between. Up to you. Ooh, I can feel it burning. That's why we call it the burnout round. Good. All right, on the ground for that W. Slide your shoulder blades down and together. Nice steady breathing. If you want to add some challenge, you can lift your chest off the ground, kind of peel your chest off the ground as you squeeze your elbows down towards your sides. Keep breathing. All right, grab that weight. We're going back to the arm bars. Get these out of the way. Left arm up, left knee up, and rotate. You're rotating your shoulders as far as you can while still keeping that weight right above your left shoulder here. Or if you start on the right hand, right above your right shoulder. Nice steady breathing throughout this exercise. This is really good for multi-directional shoulder stability. As you lift up, kind of punch the weight up. All right, we're going to switch hands here. So starting right above your shoulder blade. So punch the weight up, rotate over to the side, and then reverse it. This is working on your serratus anterior, your punching muscle. Punch it up, rotate your leg over, and then bring it back. Keep it going here. All right, and we're on to our last interval. That row external rotation and Y combo. Hinge at the hips and start it up. This is your last interval of work before the cool down. So I'm using a super light weight here. This is only 2 pounds. I really wouldn't go much more than like 5 pounds for this one, just because it is, especially once you get into this overhead Y motion, it becomes a really difficult motion. So make sure you have really good control here. And as you lift overhead into that Y, keep your shoulders away from your ears. Don't let them shrug up. Excellent. All right, you did it. Done with the burnout round. So grab a quick sip of water, keep your feet moving, and then come right back. We're just going to finish this whole workout off with a cool down. We're going to start off this cool down with some arm swings. So kind of just letting the arms shake out a little bit, loosen up after that hard workout. We're just doing 20 seconds of each stretch here, or each cool down exercise. Good job. That was a tough workout, so hopefully your arms are burning. You're going to go over for a wall chest stretch. Place your hand flat on the ground. Turn your chest away. You can play with the angle of your hand. Slide it up or down the wall, wherever you feel the best stretch in your chest and shoulder, and a little bit into your bicep. Go ahead and switch. So breathe into the stretch here. Let your muscles relax after doing all that hard work for you. Next one is going to be an overhead lat stretch. Again, using this wall. Get your core activated and then sink your chest towards the wall. You can do palms facing each other or palms flat on the wall. Next one is going to be an overhead tricep stretch. Stand up nice and tall. Pull one elbow behind your head. And then to get a little extra side stretch, you can lean to the side. Breathe here. Go ahead and switch sides. So pull your other elbow over behind your head. Get a stretch to that tricep, and then lean over to your side. Stretch out those obliques. Come down to the ground. We're going to do thread the needle. So reach your arm up and through. Try and get the back of your shoulder on the ground. The back of your head on the ground. Really stretch out the back of that shoulder. Go ahead and switch sides. So reach out to the side and then underneath, kind of threading through. Really try and get the back of that head and the back of your shoulder on the ground. And as you stretch into it, you can slide through a little more. Next one's going to be a supine twist. So lay on your back. Bring your left knee up and cross it over. Breathe into this twist here. Try and keep your other shoulder on the ground. Go ahead and switch sides. So bring your right knee into your chest and then let it cross over. You might get a little crack in the back like I just did there. And try and keep your shoulder on the ground. Flip it over. We're going to go into a Cobra stretch. So don't completely lock out your elbows. Try and lengthen through your whole spine. Just push up from the ground into this Cobra. And last one, rock back into child's pose. Rest your forehead on the ground, arms overhead. Sink into the stretch here. All right. And that is it. You just completed a pretty tough upper body and core superset workout. So I hope you feel good after doing that workout. I hope you can see how it can help you perform better with your sport. And thanks for joining me.